Welcome to today's webinar. Today is Tuesday, October 9th, and we are excited to have you here today for our LexNet 701 October webinar. The title of today's webinar is Unsure, Test It. Before we begin, I just want to have you take a quick peek at our new LexNet701.com website. We launched this website probably a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, and we're so excited to share it with you. We've added a bunch of new features and functionalities to the website, including down at the bottom, you can have direct access to the Resource Center, to featured case studies, featured white papers, webinar replays, our radio broadcasts. The featured webinar of the month is available in the center section, and up at the top we give you all kinds of upcoming events that are coming up with LexNet 701. In the upper right hand corner you have access to search for topics and resources. The topics are listed for you on the site, or you can type in whatever you'd like to search for. Resources include Resource Center articles, industry news, case studies, white papers. It's all there, and this site has been created just for you. So we look forward to you checking out the site and giving us your feedback. So let's get started. A/B testing or split testing compares the effectiveness or the impact of two different versions of a marketing communication. So in this case, we have our A image on the left and our B image on the right. They're essentially the same image, just without the quote or the testimonial available on the bottom of the left-hand image of the A image. But being able to compare these two lets us know which is effective. It could be a web page, an email message, a web ad, a self-mailer, letter, postcard, social post, phone script, or even more. The purpose of comparing these two different versions is to find the secret sauce or the magic formula that increases response rates, conversion rates, donation rates, and more. Multivariate testing allows marketers to test more than two versions or two variables at the same time. So in this piece, we could be testing the placement of the recipient's name, images used in the marketing piece. We could be testing personalization, or even the color of a specific text block, Johnson box, custom copy, or even the fact that we made a particular piece of copy bold. So when we're implementing A/B testing or multivariate testing, it's important to focus on what you want to test in your particular marketing campaign. Format testing. Testing the format is an easy way to determine which format triggers a better response. Is it a self-mailer or an email? A closed-faced envelope or a window envelope? A large postcard or a small postcard? What works and what generates the greatest response? You could be testing message. In this case, and this is used for years, has been used in retail. In an email, which offer is going to be increasing response rate? Is it that the offer ends this Saturday, or that it's a limited time offer? What words trigger action? This can be used regardless of your marketing purpose. Test different variations of your message. Images. Which image resonates with your recipient? Is it the one on the left or the one on the right with the falling hearts coming out of the sky? Does it incorporating a personalized or a decade-specific image, for example, create attention and draw that to your message and your call to action? So imagery is an easy way to swap out images within a marketing piece or a marketing campaign to see which one works the best and which one yields the greatest result. If you're a fundraiser, you can test utilizing different ask amounts. In this case, they're asking each recipient to make a $25 donation. Do you offer just one donation amount, or do you give your recipient options? If you utilize options, do you include the amount that they gave in past, or Do you increase the amount automatically? If you give more than one suggested gift amount, do you include their prior gift as the lowest amount? Or do you include an amount below their prior gift amount? Is the gift amount that you would like for them to make the one that you list on the left or on the right? And just the ask itself, is it best in the center of your self-mailer, such as this example, or is it better on the left or even the outside of the piece? There's a lot of testing that you can do with each of these elements, including the ask amount. One test item or element that can be tested that we don't always think about is the postage type. Sometimes the postage class that we use is determined by our budget or by our timeline. First class, of course, is more expensive, but typically is delivered within 2 to 3 days. Pre-sorted standard a little bit longer, and nonprofit can be anywhere from 7 to 14 days. If you have enough lead time in your campaign, consider testing different postage types and seeing if the postage type itself makes a difference in the amount given. Timing is very important, and the measurement of timing can depend somewhat on the purpose of your marketing campaign. For example, what time of day is best to post on social channels for your target audience? Is it first thing in the morning? Is it in the evening? Is it in the afternoon? What time of year is best for your donors to respond? Do they typically respond at the end of the year when they're looking for a tax deduction, or do they respond better at alumni time? What time of the month are students most receptive to application deadline reminders? Are they looking for those reminders during the first part of the month or at the end of the month? And when you talk about social posts, even think about the day of the week. Some studies show that on the weekends are the best times to post through social channels. That's when the users are on their social networks and are paying attention to their posts. So there's a lot of testing that can be done all around timing. You can test based on reply method. And when we say that, if the highest response rate comes from a business reply envelope, for example, don't eliminate the other options. Don't say, okay, business reply envelope works the best, so we're going to eliminate our online response channels. That's certainly not the case. But if the business reply envelope is your most successful response mechanism, then it might help you keep that in your budget, in your marketing campaign. It could increase the likelihood that you will place that in a significant place within your marketing package. It really helps you to create a strategy around your reply method, not to limit the number of options. Now, there's lots of other elements of your campaign that can be tested, and your individual campaign may have specific elements that are unique to that campaign that are important for you to test. Some examples of some other elements that can be tested include the outer envelope type and size, the outer envelope artwork. Are you better off to put a call to action on the outer envelope? Incentive offers, and whether or not you offer an incentive to respond. How you incorporate mobile into your campaign. What subject line performs the best? Who the sender of your message should be. If you're doing a recruiting piece, is it better for the sender to be a specific admissions counselor, or can it be from the admissions department and yield the same response? Customized landing pages. How does a customized landing page increase your response rate? The number of programs available or giving opportunities promoted within a single mail piece or within a single communication. That's something that's important for you to test. Buttons versus text for calls to action, and even the placement of a call to action. Those are all important elements within a campaign that can be tested. So now that we've identified what testing is and why we want to test, we've talked about several elements that can be tested. Let's talk about how that testing can result in higher response rates. And we've really taken this and simplified it down to 4 basic rules. First, everything that you test and every element that you want to track needs to be measurable. Make sure when you're creating your campaign strategy that you have processes in place to collect the data you wish to analyze and that data is measurable. For example, we talked about reply mechanisms. It's very easy to measure which reply mechanism gains the best result. Have you received more envelopes back in the mail? Have you received more responses via email? Or have you received more responses from your website? Make sure that your responses are measurable and that you can quantify those results. Second, testing is not a one and done. Unfortunately, even though we'd like to test a campaign, create our best practices document, incorporate those things into our campaign, it's not a one and done. It's an ongoing activity. You need to test in every single campaign that you do. If you want to receive continuous improvement of your results, you need to incorporate continuous testing. So just make it a part of each and every campaign that you do, and you will see the improvement from that testing. Third, test all channels. Multivariate testing includes the testing of more than one element at a time, but it also can include the testing of more than one channel. Today's marketing world that we live in, as we all know, is not a single channel marketing world. It's a multi-channel marketing world. Our recipients and our constituents want to hear from us in the channel in which they prefer, and that's not a one-size-fits-all communication channel. So we need to make sure that we're not only working in multiple channels, but that we're testing multiple channels as well. It will help us to determine where to spend our time and money, and it will also help us to learn what's effective, what's working for us, and how that changes over time. Now, the whole purpose of testing is to improve our results. So in order to do that, we have to implement those results. Measuring through multiple channels and ongoing testing gives us all of the information that we need to implement those results. So if we learn what subject line is most appealing to our recipients, we learn where to place our call to action and in what way to say it, and we learn what response mechanism is the most heavily used by our recipients, then we can implement those results into our next campaigns to continue to grow our response rates, to grow our admission rates, to grow our donation rates. And then we go back to step number 2 and we continue to test. By implementing those results, by putting into practice everything that we've learned, we can continue to grow our response rates, grow our ROI, and really be successful. It sounds like a lot to do. It sounds like a lot to incorporate testing like this. But once it becomes a part of your everyday processes and all of your marketing campaigns, you will see the benefits, you will understand the importance, and it will get easier and more efficient as you go along. We have flown through this information, and we've really kind of made it very compact for you today. We want to thank you again for joining us and encourage you to take a look at LexNet701.com. At the top of the home page is all of the information on how to contact us if you have any questions at all or would like any additional information. This webinar will be our featured webinar for the month of October on the website, and we invite you to join us again at the same time for our November webinar on November 13th, when our topic will be Don't Hesitate, Pull the Trigger. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great afternoon.